Hello everyone, my name is Yoyo. So let me begin with a simple question. Give yourself 10 seconds and in your mind, complete this sentence with 5 answers. I am. 10 seconds, start now. 10, 9, just think it deeply. 4, 3, 2, and 1. For me, my answer will be, I'm Yoyo. I'm Chinese. I'm extroverted. I'm dancer. And I'm not very good at math. The words flow smoothly, almost automatically. It's as if I've used this sentence to introduce myself so many times that they've been etched into my DNA, and I've always believed them to be facts. But recently, I started to question myself, are these words really facts or the labels that constrain me? So I began to ask some uncomfortable questions. Why do I describe myself this way? Why these words, not others? And how can I really know I'm like this? And the first answer I realized was comparison. I remember sitting in math class while some students were finishing the entire worksheet, flipping pages confidently, while I was still stuck on question 2. At that moment, I doubted my math ability, not based on any years of experience, any object measurements, just from a single, fleeting comparison. And at that comparison, I drew a conclusion. I'm not good at math. And that single moment slowly became the sentence. Sometimes I even added when I introduced myself to others or my friends. I'm not good at math. And the same things happen in smaller way every day. For example, if someone is taller than me, I decide I'm relatively short. If someone is calm and quiet, but while I'm talking a lot, I decide I'm loud. Comparison often feels logical, even objective. But in reality, it turns differences into definitions. Over time, I stopped asking, who am I? And start asking my friends, how do I compare with them? These relentless, exhausting comparisons eventually became the labels that define us. When these labels turn into a kind of ranking system, and there's always someone above you, you start feeling like you're always lacking something. And in that moment, you drift further from your true self. Comparison is the first layer. Second layer is evaluation, what other people say about us. We're surrounded by comments, subtle and direct. For example, someone said, you're noisy, you're smart, or you're handsome, you're beautiful, or maybe you're not a science person. At first, these are just observations, but repeated often enough, they sound like a truth. It's like looking into a glass or mirror. We assume the reflection is correct simply because we can see it. And slowly, we lean into our roles. For example, if someone describes me as outgoing, I lean into that. And if they suggest me I'm not good at a subject, I may unconsciously lower my effort on that subject. We don't just hear labels, we grow into them. And what's dangerous is not that others have opinions, it's that we really question whether those opinions deserve to define us, and slowly grow into that reflections. Beyond comparison and evaluation, there's even something larger shaping our identities, which is nationality and culture. In many Western societies, including United States, individuality is emphasized. You're encouraged to stand out and define yourself as unique. However, in many Eastern Asia societies, there's a strong value placed on collective identities and responsibility to your group. Or maybe when I say I'm Chinese, this sentence is not empathy. It carries assumption, expectations, and even stereotypes. For example, being good at math, being disciplined, being reserved, or being hardworking. Whether I accept them or not, this surrounds me. So I often consciously or unconsciously approach those stereotypes. But is it the real me? So what does it actually mean to know ourselves or know the answer of who am I? Benjamin Franklin once said, There are three things extremely hard: still, a diamond, and knowing oneself. For a long time, I believed that self-understanding meant to find a fixed answer, something I could use to define myself, or something others could use to define me, a stable conclusion. But if I answer the question of who am I right now, I may no longer answer as confidently as I did at the beginning of speech. I pause and start to question myself. When I say I'm not good at math, is that a permanent limitation, or it's just a result of comparing my scores to others? When people comment on me, I may wonder, is it truly who I am, or just the roles I have learned to perform? Of course, I can still say, I'm Yoyo, I'm Chinese, I'm extroverted, I'm dancer, I'm still struggle in math. But I no longer see those statements as permanent walls. These are just description of my moments, not a description of my entire life. Although I can't change my nationality, I can change my behavior, my thoughts, and who I choose to become. In a way, growth may help us to understand who am I. But growth is not a dramatic transformation that happens overnight. It's slow and ongoing. It's even invisible. Most importantly, it's deeply personal. So, often we want certainty. A fixed answer feels safe. But if I know who I am, I know my place, I know my limits. Sometimes certainty can also become a cage. If we define ourselves too early, we stop allowing ours to grow. Self-understanding is not a destination. It's an ongoing conversation with yourself. So, when I again ask the question of who I am, I don't rush response. I allow space. Space for thinking, for change, for growth, and even for contradiction. And maybe the honest answer of who am I is this: I'm still becoming. And this is not uncertainty. This is possibility. And maybe the real work for all of us is to look inward and uncover our honest answer of who am I. Thank you for listening.